So I never intended on starting a business ever. I went to drama school and I was working as an actor. I had an agent. I was going to London to do loads of castings. And I had a couple of clients that I was doing social media management for. I was charging £150 or £200 a month to do like 6 posts a week on their Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. And I was also freelancing for some agencies as well that I found on platforms like People Per Hour. That's where I got the majority of my work from. I never used Upwork or Fiverr. It was literally People Per Hour and also recommendations and just talking to people and things like that. So I had clients that I was doing social media for. And then I was also going to London, doing castings, doing filming, all that kind of stuff. And eventually I stopped doing the marketing. I eventually stopped doing the acting. I just phoned up my agent one day and said that I wasn't going to do it anymore. It was really affecting my mental health, which I've spoken about in the past as well. And I focused on my social media clients. I asked if they wanted other services. Some of them were asking if I could make changes to their website and stuff, of which I said yes, and then proceeded to learn how to do it. Because I read in a book, I think it was Richard Branson said, like, never say no, always say yes. And now that's like the worst business decision I think you can ever make. But there you go. That's something that I've learned. I might do a video of the 5 things I've learned as a business owner. But I was basically adding on services to those clients and asking if they needed help with their other businesses or if they knew of anyone that wanted other campaigns to help with social media, and just talking and just making really good relationships. Because when I was working as a freelancer for those agency, I saw massively that they didn't really care about their clients. There wasn't really an open line of communication, and it was all about sort of getting the client in, bidding them, doing the work, and that's sort of it, not building any rapport or relationship. So I really wanted to focus on that with my clients, and I built up a really good roster of clients that I was doing social media for. And then they started to ask, and their friends and recommendations started to ask that if I could do other services like design or web development, like properly building websites from scratch, of which I had no idea how to do. So I started to partner with other freelancers. And this is really how I started to transition really from being a freelancer to then sort of going down the agency route. So I would partner with freelancers who would build the website. I would do the project management. I would talk to the client, do everything with the client, and basically white label their service. And what I started to do very cleverly was build up the amount of work that I had within web development, within design, for example, within SEO, within ads, bring on freelancers to do the work. And then when I got a decent amount of revenue from that, I would then hire someone. So the first person I actually hired was a social media manager to take the social media clients off of me. And then I could focus on building up the website of the business. So a lot of people, and this is, I think, a very controversial thing when it comes down to marketing agencies in general, is that you need to niche down. You need to only work with one client or one type of client. And I think to a degree that is a very good business decision. When I was doing my social media stuff, it was very much, this is a brand new thing when it comes down to like agencies, especially like the SMMA space, like social media marketing agency. And not really that many people were doing it. It was more freelancers and sort of a few agencies, but sort of big corporate agencies, the ones that I was freelancing. And a lot of people were starting up agencies probably just after I'd started. So there wasn't that much competition, and I was charging very reasonable prices for my services. So in essence, what I did is build up a good revenue of amount of a service and hire someone. So I did that for social media. And then shortly after I did that for web. Then shortly after I did that for SEO, and sort of built up the different services that I was offering. And then to where we are now, looking back, where we have, 24 nerds on our team, including myself and Jake, with a mixture of account managers, sales, operations, SEO, ads, design, web developers. So a massive plethora of nerds working in different departments and servicing our clients. And last week we hired another salesperson. So now there's 4 people in sales, which is super exciting, meaning that this year, our new financial year started from the 1st of March. So we are now into our first month of the financial year, which is super exciting. And looking back of sort of how I transitioned from a freelancer, I never intended to start a business. I don't know if that was a really good thing or a really bad thing, but I didn't really have the pressure of, okay, I need to do this by this date. I didn't have investors. I've literally done everything. And Jake joined the business. We were on holiday. We were probably only dating for like 6 or 7 months. And he asked for a pay rise and his boss said no. So I said, well, do you want to leave your job and come and work with me? I can't really afford to pay you, but let's just kind of see what happens. And it was one of the best decisions that we made. He brought an amazing sense of like technology, and we moved from IMAP emails to 365, and loads of sort of different things in between. He built out sort of a LinkedIn outreach structure, which is where we got the majority of our leads from initially. And that was literally COVID-19 when that was happening. And COVID was such a big growth spurt for us because everyone wanted a website. Everyone wanted to sort of up-level their digital marketing. And yes, I don't know if it was classed as a recession. It was definitely classed as a crisis. But what a lot of people would do in those scenarios is the marketing would be the first thing to cut. And that is really the worst thing and the last thing that you want to cut when it comes down to marketing, because it is so important for your business. So yeah, my advice is to work with freelancers to offer services that you don't sort of offer, bring in contractors to help and support that. When you get to a decent amount of revenue, you can then sort of build in an operations team, a sales team, and all that kind of stuff in between, because it will make your life so much easier, and free my time up so I can look at strategy, look at building the business, and actually working in the business, rather than working on the business rather than in the business, as that saying goes. So yeah, hope this has been helpful. I'm actually going to record another video, another episode about maybe the 5 things that I've learned as a business owner, because I think that should be really, really interesting and really, really cool. There you go. Stay awesome, stay safe, but most importantly, stay nerdy.